what are some of the things that you want to make sure to bring home with you from an adoption trip? We're going to talk about it up next. Hey guys, this is Marlene. Welcome back to Creating an Adoptive Family. Hopefully you didn't skip the beginning because we had our new intro video. Woo! So if you skipped it, go back and watch it. Okay, so today I want to talk about some of the things that we found were a good idea to bring home from an adoption trip. Last time we talked about what you want to bring with you, things that you don't want to forget. But what would you want to bring home? So some of the things are things like that you can't get here, or maybe that are way cheaper in the country you're coming from. So we were in Colombia, and of course you want to compare prices to things in the country that you're going to. But in Colombia, a lot of the clothes were cheaper there than they are here. Now, if you go to a mall with a lot of name brand stuff, it's actually just as expensive there as it is here, which I don't know how the Colombian people could afford it because they do not make as much as we do. But, you know, to each their own. So, but if you find some of the other smaller stores, there's a lot of really nice clothes and they're a lot cheaper. So you have your child who has just been, you've just adopted them, but they send them with so little, like a backpack of things or like a little suitcase of stuff. And they keep most of their clothes. The foundation they come from, or orphanage or foster home, like wherever they're coming from, a lot of times they'll tell them that they're going with a rich American family that will buy them all new things. And of course, we're going to buy them things because we need them to have things, but that doesn't mean that we're just like overflowing with money, especially after having just paid a ridiculous amount of money for an international adoption. So, finding some of these clothes in some of the local shops that are cheaper but nice clothes can really help out. You can basically fill their wardrobe before you even get home. So I would bring enough, like bring a suitcase, bring enough room to be able to bring home clothes with you. Okay, the next thing I would do is try to find some of their favorite foods or candies that you can bring home. Of course, a lot of them need to be non-perishable things that you can pack in a checked bag. But a lot of those foods you're not going to be able to find once you get back to the States. We have a store here, it's a Latin store. Most of the food is Mexican though. There are a few things that they recognize as being Colombian. And for us here in the States, we're like, well, yeah, but it's a Latin store. It's all the same, right? No, it's not. Like every Latin country has their own specific foods, their specific brands. And so, you know, Paula and Juan, they're walking around this Latin store and they're like, yeah, there's not really anything in here that we know. There's like a couple things, but not anything that's like our food. So if there are specific candies and things that they like, bring some of those with them. You know, bring them back to the States with you. I've also looked online to see if I could order some things, and you can order some things, but they're really expensive to order because they're being shipped from the country that they're coming from. Okay, next thing that I would definitely bring, find a bookstore where you're at. We learned the hard way. Once we adopted Paula, we got back to the States and she was asking for all these different books that she wanted to read. Of course, they were in Spanish. She hadn't learned English yet. Her birthday was coming up, Christmas, and so we're like, oh, well, that would be good to get her some books. And I know that there are Spanish books that you can buy here in the States, but there's a lot of them that you can't. So I'm online scouring the internet for these different books that she asked for, and most of them you had to order, and again, they were being shipped from another country, and so they were very expensive because of the shipping, or just because they're like, like this book, they can't get it in the States, so we're gonna charge them $50 for the book and then another $20 for shipping. Like, so, oh my gosh, yeah, I think we got her two books, and then Grandma and Grandpa got her another book that they found, and it was hard to find the ones she wanted. So find a bookstore while you're there. Let them, choose two or three books that they can bring home with them. And so they can read those and then be working on learning English so that they can start reading some English books. Okay. Next thing. If your children are big sports fans of whatever sport is there in their country, of course, in Colombia, it's soccer, football. In actually in a lot of countries, it's going to be soccer that they're fans of, but there are different sports, different teams. If they're big fans and then they end up asking for, like, oh, I would like a jersey from my favorite team in Colombia or in whichever country, and then you go online, you're like, okay, I'll find it, and you can't. Or again, it's ridiculously expensive because you're shipping it from that country. So, if they're big fans, find those things before you leave and bring like a jersey or a sweater with you so they have their, team to represent once you get home. Again, that happened with Paula. She wanted a jersey from the soccer team Millonarios, and we couldn't even find one to order. We found a general Colombian jersey, like just general, but it wasn't representing necessarily any team. It was just like Colombia soccer. So that's what she got. Okay. So next thing, this isn't like something you would buy, but just while you're there and you're working with the social workers, ICBF there in country, if you're wanting more information, pictures, background about your child, try to get it from them while you're there. Do everything you can while you're there to get whatever extra information. Because once the adoption is completed, you leave the country and go home, they're not thinking about you and your child anymore. They've moved on to the next child that needs their adoption done, and the next, the others that are in line. And, it's a lot of work for them to do those adoptions and then to have to like take a step back and try to find information on your child. That's going to be like the last thing on their list to think about, unfortunately. And so you requesting more information once you get home, you're probably not going to get it, or it's going to take a really, really long time. So do everything that you can while you're in country to get all that information to bring home with you. Okay, the last thing I wanted to bring up is memories, photos. Okay, you're in your child's country. There's a good chance that your child will never return to that country. They might when they get older, they might go back. I know with Colombia, they have dual citizenship, and so it's a little more likely that they will go back. Or if you're doing another adoption in that country, then, you can go back with them like we did with Paula when we adopted Juan. She got to go back to her country. But there are other children that they never go back. And so being able to experience things of their country can be a really important thing for them, important memories. Some of these children I found, even with ours, they've grown up in this country, in this one town. They lived in this one town their whole life, and yet they haven't been to like half of the stuff in the town, and let alone the rest of the country. So for them to be able to go to different museums or tourist attractions, see different things around their own town can be an amazing thing for them, something to take with them, to know their town, where they came from. And then to be able to tour around and see other things around their country that they've never been able to see, and probably would have been a long, long time before they got to see it if they stayed there. So taking those photos and bringing all of that back, all the videos and memories of you guys traveling around their country and enjoying getting to know their country together. And it will help you get to know them as well. So use your time wisely while you're there to really explore and do all you can. Okay, so these are our suggestions of things that we found were very helpful to bring back with us. If there's anything else that you found, like, oh my goodness, we should have brought this, or we're so glad that we brought this home with us, please stick it down in the comments so we all know. And don't forget to bring it back with us next time we go, or if we're heading out for the first time. All right, you guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.